And good morning, everyone. This is Diane Winbush, and welcome to Women Who Rock with Success. As you know, we're still featuring women with Black History Month, and we're still featuring women with Women Month, and then we have Women International Month and all of those in Women International Days. So today we have an exciting guest with us today, and she is none other than Miss Kelley Allen, and she is the Supervisor Director of Casting. And so we want to be able to hear from her, and so we can learn a little bit about what she is doing in the film and producing industry. So good morning, Kelley, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you guys for having me.
Okay, perfect. So tell us a little bit about you. I know I've read some things about you, of how you got started, what have you, but we want the audience to be able to learn a little bit about you in depth as to, how you got started and what compelled you to get into the film industry?
Absolutely. So I am a Los Angeles native, born and raised, right? So I feel like there's something just kind of in the air there. Like at the age of, I think like 7, one of my best friends, her mom had her in, musical theater, and she'd go on auditions. And eventually the mom was like, you know what, you should meet, Laura's agent. And I'm like, okay, keep in mind, I grew up in the hood, right? So I wasn't used to people and agents and stuff. So I didn't know that that was a thing. And I kind of got my start in front of the camera at a young age, at like 9. I started doing background work and, big TV shows and movies, which were super fun and exciting. I mean, I was the only kid in my school that was really doing that at the time. So that was fun. And then cut to, kind of focus on school, did my thing. And then the entertainment industry kind of came back around again. And, so every time I tried to get away from it, it came right back around to me. And I'm like, okay, Lord, I ain't gonna fight it no more. And I started casting for music videos. So I did some music video casting with some of the guys that I knew from back in the day. And that didn't really work out. And then I fell into reality television casting. And with that particular, genre of the industry, it very much so is word of mouth. So once I worked on the first project for Playboy, actually was for their television company, TV. We did a project with them that was very interesting, to say the least. It was a way to jump me in the gang, right? Like, whoa, this is the first job I'm doing, and I got to interview people butt naked. Okay. And then that literally just led to the next project and the next project and the next and the next and the next. So it has just been, over 15 years in the making. I hate to give away my age, but I've been doing this for quite a bit, and I've worked with every major network. I've done everything from, like Gordon Ramsay, cooking type shows, to Ready to Love on Oprah's network and Will Packer's production. Oh my God, the Housewives franchises. I've helped with many of those, Married to Medicines. I mean, I've been all over the place. And I've also done really, really interesting like development projects where you may not have seen these, because we did work kind of behind the scenes.
Right.
And I've interviewed everyone from, adult babies, vampires, dominatrix, and everything in between. So yeah, lots of experience on this side.
Okay. Wow. So before we get into the girls' game collection, let's kind of go back to your childhood. You were working vaccine, and we want to talk about that as a child, because a lot of times entrepreneurs feel that, well, if I didn't get it as a child, I cannot continue the trend as an adolescent or as an adult or what have you. So we want to talk about that. How rewarding was for that? Was there a little fear there in a little bit, especially I know some of the segments that you were played on, I think it was the Cosby Show and Behind the Scenes on Friday. So tell us a little bit about that as well.
Sure. So like I mentioned, when I was 9, my one little best friend in elementary school, her mother had her in the industry. And so she encouraged me to meet, because I was always like, I was that kid. I was doing things and dancing and jumping up in front of the class, and I'd be in my grandma's mirror making up commercials to Afro Sheen. I mean, I was a mess. And so I've always been an extreme extrovert. Like I've never had issues talking in front of people, you know, thank
Okay.
God I don't get nervous in that way. So it just seemed like a really good fit. So for me personally, even being a kid, like I was just excited. Like I was excited to
Okay.
be there, to talk to people. And
Okay.
you know, for the most part, when you're working on set, you're just sitting there for hours,
Right.
right? And so at
Okay.
that age, we had teachers on set, so we were being tutored. We had our school packs of work that we had to complete.
Mhm.
So we were, you know, we weren't really just playing around. Like we had to do our school hours, and then when it was time for us to get on set and do our little walkthrough, I never had any lines.
Okay.
I was what they called a featured extra.
Okay.
You would see me, right? Oh, there goes Kelley. Oh, there goes
Okay.
Kelley's hair. Oh,
Okay.
there goes Kelley. You know, so it was kind of like that. Like my family could point me out.
Okay.
But some of the things that, you know, people would actually see me, and I did an episode on Moesha, so not the Cosby Show, but I did Moesha. I did the Fox show, Steve Harvey show. Friday, I was one of the kids that ran to the ice cream truck alongside Good. That was fun because we had to run to that Darren ice cream truck a lot of times, you know, because that's another thing. It's so repetitive. Even if you're just walking by in the background, you got to do it about 25 times, right? You got to be the best walker buyer that you can be in the most natural way. So I had the opportunity to work with Robin Williams in his movie Toys. I was one of the toy soldiers in that movie. Which was amazing because, as you know, years later he passed away. So it was really, you know, great to see him in person and to see that personality. And he really was like that, you know, in real life. Denzel Washington. I mean, I definitely, from 9 to 13, I was working, and even though you hear me, I was every other day I was on set and doing those things. So fear, no, but for me, I've always been, like I said, one of those kids that, you know, the family would come over and they would say, Kelley, come on and show us that dance. I'd run out there and do the running man for them and stuff. So I never really knew fear in that way.
Okay. So you were basically energetic, even though you had to go to school, you had to do all of these other things, you still could be able to compile all of these things and orchestrate it and organize it and put it in one box with the ribbon on top of it. Wow.
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
wow. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. I like hearing stories like that simply because of the fact sometimes children go through peer pressure. Of course, we've interviewed young teens where they went through peer pressure, have to go to school, and, you know, the children pick on them because, you know, they perhaps maybe feel that they're better than the next child and what have you. And so it's just good to hear that you still triumph beyond all of what you need to triumph with the energy and what have you. There was no fear. Wow, that's okay. That's an amazing story there. Because I'm talking, if it would have been me, I would have just hit the floor on the stage probably the first day.
It's a lot. And you know, I sometimes parents, you know, DM me about getting their kids into the industry, and I tell them, like, as a disclaimer, it's not for everyone. Just because your kid is cute, right, and you think your kid is cute, that's another thing. Just because your kid is cute doesn't mean, like, you really have to sort of have a muscle for that industry, like these long hours. You know, your kid might not have a line to say, or, you know, it's very vigorous. Like it's not an easy thing for sure, but if you have, you know, a kid or a young adult that is just like, they have all this energy and they're talented, and you see they want to do it, it feels like a good fit, then, you know, go for it. You never know, right? But it definitely is a special type that, you know, to deal with all of that, because it's easy to just kind of fall apart or to get in your feelings, or like you said, to get back to school and then, you know, your peers are saying certain things or feeling like that. I mean, I'm before the social media days, so I feel like my peers were excited. They were happy, like, oh my God, I was like the little celebrity, like, Kelley, we saw you on Moesha last night. Like they loved it. So there was no hate, but this is before I think like so much of this extra bullying and stuff was happening with like social media and stuff. So I'm before that era.
Okay, great. So in your story on your one of your sites, you talk about you know, some challenges, how you came up in LA, but look how it's kind of rewarding as to how you turned all of that around. I'm serious. So what was an impact in regards to from that time even to now? How do you make your message even more clearer for those that perhaps maybe have came up or grown up in the neighborhood that you came up in?
Sure. So yeah, my neighborhood was special, right? And I take it for what it is. I mean, I feel like I got some nice thick skin and I've learned how to deal with a multitude of characters. And I think
Okay.
that really falls into play with what I do for a living because
Mhm.
I have to connect with people from all different walks of life without judgment.
That's
You
right.
know, I have to sit there and have a conversation with them and get the best interview out of them. So I think, though it was a colorful upbringing, and yes, there were, drive-bys. I've gone to peers' funerals.
Mhm.
It was a heavy gang sort of neighborhood, right? So like
Okay.
shootings and gangs and cholos and cholas, that kind of energy
Okay.
is what we had to deal with there. But if you can just stay true to who you are, right?
Right.
Like I didn't feel pressured to become a gang member. And I know that there are pressures that happen,
Mhm.
especially during that adolescent age. So I never felt pressured to need to be along of something like that or to do quote unquote bad things. Like I just was always kind of happy and bubbly and like I was always down for a good time, but I just never felt the pressures of the neighborhood. And
Okay.
so I think with having such a big loving family too,
Mhm.
really, really played a big part. So even though there was a lot of things going on outside of the house and down the hill from the house,
Mhm.
we didn't really feel that in our house.
Okay,
And
correct.
I didn't really realize that I grew up kind of in the hood until I grew up older. And I was like, whoa, y'all didn't have drive-bys in your neighborhood? Like I thought that was everybody. So I think if you just, you take it for what it is, but you
Right.
try to get up out of there. You know what I mean? Do better.
Okay.
Stay focused on your
Right.
dreams and do what you can to make those things happen. If you know you're in an area that is unsafe, get up out of there.
Correct.
Move away entirely.
Mhm.
So I think I just always had my eye on a prize. Like
Mhm.
I remember being, I don't know, really young, probably 10, 11, 12, and I would circle the houses in the Sunday paper for my mom. Like, I want this one. She's like, Kelley, you
Mhm.
crazy. Like, I can't afford that. So I think I always had my eye on sort of a bigger prize. So just
Okay.
believing in yourself and having that confidence in whatever it is that you feel passionate about. Don't let other
Mhm.
people dictate your passions. Like if you're passionate about art or design or speaking, do that. Don't worry about
Mhm.
the outside pressures of, oh, is it enough money or are they going to like me? Yeah, somebody will, you know,
Okay.
period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that is an awesome statement because that is so positive that no matter where you grew up, and just because sometimes, well, I guess I wouldn't say that the area was bad just because they have drive-bys. It's just everybody does not share the same type of motive of thinking. And so I think that is so wonderful as to how you were able to escape all of that. Your parents kept you motivated on positive things because they were positive. And so it's like you turned around one day and said, "Oh, I didn't know that this is the neighborhood that I grew up in." And so that shows a lot of positiveness that comes from your background as well. So we want to get into the gang, the girl gang collection. So tell us the purpose of that name. Of course, I've already read it, but I want you to tell the audience is the purpose, is the reason why that you chose that name, the Girl Gang Collection, and what are some of the takeaways that you want the public to be able to ascertain from your brand?
Sure. So, as a casting professional, for the most part, we're freelance. We get hired out by production companies or networks to work on a project to project basis. And
Mhm.
so I had started a company. Wow, it's been almost 10 years. Just an S corp that I did mostly for business taxes reasons. And as of late last year,
Okay.
I've always been hiring. I have a solid like pack of girls that I love to hire for my projects because they just get it. They know how I like to work. They know how to find the people that I need. We
Mhm.
just have a good working relationship. And so there was just something kind of on my heart. Like, I talk to these girls, I try to mentor them, I teach them how to negotiate rates, I teach them
Okay.
how to have like the necessary tools to be a productive casting recruiter, casting associate, casting producer, etc. So I just kind of thought, why don't I put a name on this thing that I'm doing already, right? Like I'm already doing this, but let me put a name on this and really make it something bigger than what it's already is. And
Okay.
so with the Girl Gang Casting Collective, it's just that, we are a gang of girls. I am the leader. And obviously, the name and just sort of the ideal behind it was because of the neighborhood that I grew up in and it being sort of this gang, thing. I wanted to make it something positive.
Yeah.
It's like gangs are always associated with the negative. And I'm like, you know what? This is going to be a good thing. We can be a good gang, right? We can be a gang of powerful women that are trying to do their thing. And so I that's kind of where I got the idea of the name. But the overall importance is making sure that my girls are good. Now, whether they're with me or not, sometimes I'll work on a project that I can't hire them on because the budget doesn't allow.
Right.
Budget does allow, I staff up accordingly. If we need 2 associates, 4 associates, an editor, recruiters, etc. So I staff up based on the project, but also based on the project's needs. Now, there's certain people that have strengths in certain things. Like I mentioned with some of my resume, we're all over the place. So if I'm staffing up for a dating show, then I know exactly which girls are going to be optimal for that particular demo, right? Like they're good. They know how to get on, they know how to DM, they know how to get on Tinder, they know how to do all the tricks and trades to get the people that I need. And then if I'm working on, I don't know, a science, a docu-series or documentary, then I'm going to probably dig a little further for like researchers that are female that know kind of that area. So it just depends on what the project is. But I have a solid like core group of girls that I like to shuffle and rotate for most of the projects. They can pretty much handle, a lot of whatever comes my way. And we have a couple of exciting things coming up. So yeah, I mean, it literally just kind of spawned off of the idea of like what I'm already doing, but I wanted to bring some more light to that. And in hopes of in the future, when I have time, of training some girls that are interested in getting into this industry, because our industry is very kind of closed door. Like there's no classes or college or degree. You really just kind of have to be good and wiggle your way in, and then get referred out if you're good. And it's a very challenging type of work. It might seem easy, but it's not. It's very challenging. So once someone is good and they click, everybody wants them, right? Everybody wants to use them because it's hard to find good talent in this particular field. And so my girls are good. They know what they're doing. I refer them out. So if I don't have anything for them at the moment and a colleague does, I'll refer them to those projects. So I'm just kind of building a little network of women of all color that that either want to get into this and maybe can do some interning to learn and make sure they're good, or if they already have experience that I can utilize for not only myself and my projects, but for other companies and theirs.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wow. Okay, because that was going to be the next question. But I know that you say you use different types of tools with your girls, and so that was going to be a question: do you provide like a curriculum for them where they can perhaps be trained? But I do understand as to what it is that you offer. Sometimes this is more like a jump in. You have to make sure that your I guess audition, if I could be able to use that word, is good enough. And then after that, it's time to go to the stage. So it may not be that that way where they can be able to come in and be able to get the type of training. But that's still a good point. That's still a good point. So for Women's Month, what is a long-term goal or milestone that you would like to achieve? If for you to be selected as such as that, because it takes a lot for a woman to be honored and acknowledged and even looked upon, as a some type of an icon when it comes to Women Month, Women International Day, or what have you, a Black History Month feature or something. What are some of the long-term goals that you would even like to achieve to be able to continue this even further down the road for other women? Come on.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, all that you said, icon awards, all that, give me all of that. Okay. I want all of that. I would love to, continue just to do what I do. I really do love my job. I love speaking to people. I mean, when I interview somebody, they are letting me in, right? Like, I am a therapist, I am a counselor, I am a
Okay.
casting director. Like, you tell me something that you've gone through, I'm going to give you some advice back on that. You tell me about a hard time and you cry to me on your interview, I'm going to console you for that moment or two. Like,
Dr.
that's
Mrs.
like,
Field, Miss Dr. Field.
yes, pretty much. I'm like, where are my honorary degrees? Because I have put in the hours. But it's just kind of, again, connecting with people. So continuing to do what I already do is fantastic. There has been recent opportunities for casting directors like myself to, when in development, like I was talking about some of those projects that you may not see that we're kind of work on in the back behind the scenes. Can we get it green lit or not? I love being a part of those and collaborating with production companies or executive producers. And they're like, we have this idea and like, maybe you can help us, or like, what do you think about casting? So I love being able to come in as a casting professional, but also a producer and say, hey, this will be a great format. Let's try to go after this cast. So I love being able to do more, be able to do more collaborations like that would be amazing. Again, I would, down the line, I would love to put some kind of just even like a soft outline together for women that are interested in getting into this. And, and I put this on my website, even though it is girl gang and it is the girls that I'm really kind of focusing on here, I am not opposed. Like, I have males that I work with, right? And I am not, but it's not a gender thing. It really was just like the name of the thing that I wanted to go with. But even some men that are interested, I do want to create something where there is a little bit of training, because it really is much so you just kind of get jumped in, and then if you can't succeed in that first project, you're out. So it is kind of cutthroat that way. And I do think people deserve a little bit more of a chance than that. Like in any other workspace, you get a little bit more time to train and learn. And in this one, you don't. So maybe training a little bit more would be a goal, and maybe offering a little bit more like internships and stuff, because the reason why a lot of people don't get the opportunity to stick around longer to get their feet wet is because the pay. Like, you get a project, you have a budget, you staff that up. If you're leveraging that money on someone that doesn't really know what they're doing, when you can hire somebody that does, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where it gets a little tricky for people that are new into the game. So I would love to continue doing what I'm doing, casting amazing shows for all these fantastic networks. I would love to do more collaborations with producers and development companies and give my awesome ideas and my cast. And again, the collaborations are really fun. It gives me more say. Like, I like to say things like, let me talk, let me do things. Let me give you some ideas. So I love doing that. And then ultimately, like I said, just providing a space for my girls to continue working and build some success for themselves. And maybe then they can take on bigger projects and hire more girls. And this thing could just continue to grow.
Absolutely, because I think that once you open the door for more men, to come in and be a part of your projects and what you do, I think that you're going to see a large enhancement as to what you're already doing. When we first started with our media, it was just for women. And then, of course, we went to entrepreneurs that were actresses. Monica, I think her name was Monica Coleman. We had an opportunity to, Coleman. We had an opportunity to interview her and a lot of more teen entrepreneurs. But then once we opened the door for men to come in, and then it just went everywhere. It went everywhere. And so I feel that will be a large enhancement as to what you're doing. You are basically like a coach as well as to what you're doing. If you're there providing things for individuals, here I go off into this coaching thing to my own guest again. But as you are providing information and interviewing, and then you're also giving them information and resources as well, that's more like a mentoring and coaching for them. They're getting more than from, they're getting more back off from you, from what you're, from what, even what you're putting out to them. So I think that is so wonderful,
Yeah.
because, everything that we do in life as women, a dollar sign cannot be attached to it. Sometimes we have to give ourselves over to other individuals in order for them to be able to succeed as well. Which brings me to the next question, with you, Kelley. Were there any mentors? We've had individuals on the show. Oh yeah, we had Oprah Winfrey, and I think we had some of the teenage girls. They were like, yeah, Oprah Winfrey was the one that allowed me on her show, she was able to inspire this teen entrepreneur to be able to advance a little bit further into what she was doing. So we're there, and I know you talk about your mom and your parents. They were there to help groom everything and keep everything in a positive way. But were there any other mentors that kind of helped you along the way to keep you kind of motivated also as to what you're doing? Sometimes you don't even have to talk to a person for them to be your mentor. Sometimes you can be able to follow individuals, on the screen and what have you, on the in the studio, in order for them to be able to make an impact in your life. So were there any mentors to be able to help you along the way?
I definitely had some people that, I met in the beginning of this ride of being a casting director that I'm still really good friends with. And one of them is Desiree Mandelbaum, and she gave me my first job at MTV, and we are still really close friends. We love each other. She has her business, I have my business. I have, I call her my work wife. Her name is Susie Strozen. She's also in the industry. She has her business, I have my business. So there's definitely people that, and then Sarah O'Neill, she gave me my first opportunity with that Playboy show, which really spawned everything off, right?
Okay.
So mentor in a way that I just developed such core friendships with these women, and they saw something in me and believed in me. And once I got in there and did my thing, they were like, oh yeah, we're going to keep you working, so they kind of had my back, referred me out. So I will always be, oh my God, and Mimi, I met Mimi at some random brand ambassador gig. And we were talking, running our mouths. And we started talking about casting, because she did reality casting, and I'm talking about, I did music video casting. And then she's telling me that they might need one more person on their team. And so she's the one that actually got me the interview for that first, that Playboy project that I ended up getting. So there's people, excuse me, there's people that were very important along the way in opening those doors. People are aligned for you, right? And this is, I tell this to women in my family all the time. Don't limit yourself when it comes to working or even volunteering or just things, opportunities, because you never know who you're going to talk to. If I wasn't doing that random brand ambassador job that day, I would have never had that conversation with Mimi. I would have never interviewed with Sarah. I would have never gotten it's a domino effect. But if you're just so stuck where you only go to this one little job and you only talk to these certain people, then that's going to stay, that's going to be your world. So mentors, yes, I think growing up, again, my neighborhood, my schools, they didn't do a whole bunch of, the scholastic program wasn't up to par. Let's just say at one point, I think they got kicked out of the LAUSD just because they were so poor. So I didn't know who to look up to other than maybe a Tupac or something. You know what I mean? I thought Tupac was amazing. And I definitely cried when he died. But I can't sit here and say that oh my God, honestly, I didn't know much about, unfortunately. It was my family, my friends, Tupac. So maybe Tupac. We're just gonna give credit to Tupac today then.
Okay. It's just something I feel strongly. It's in my heart and spirit. I kind of hear a little Nick TV.
Yes.
I do. I hear in my spirit, I hear a Nick television of, I'm just gonna leave it like that. I'm not here at church, but I'm just saying that's just what I feel in my spirit. It's like a Nick I feel a Nick TV that's, you know, you're gonna embark upon where you're helping children. And I'm gonna just stay because I feel the Holy Spirit, and I'm gonna leave it right there. Okay. So this
Accept it and receive it, sister. Give it to
okay, that's I have been this it's been coming down streaming in my spirit the last 5 to 10 minutes like a Nick Wired, Nick Television, Nick at Night, something like that. I feel it strongly in my spirit. So you just you know, stay encouraged because I feel that you're in the right direction, and you're humble. See, a lot of people, as you stated, we have to volunteer. And then when we volunteer in these areas, this is how doors come open for us, you know, being humble enough to go in and perhaps maybe serve or what have you. And then you meet someone else, and then you meet someone else, and then the stairs get taller and higher. You know, so with this last question, we thank you so much. I love your energy. I really do. I love your style. With this last question, share with the audience how they can be able to follow you on any social media platforms, or how they can be able to connect with you and learn more about you. You know, we just talked about a little fragment of who you are, but of course you have sites out there where they can be able to come and go in and learn a little bit more about you in more depth, and then they can be able to follow you after the show.
Absolutely. And just as a last thought, because, you know, I think volunteering and giving back to the communities are just, it's so, so important. And so
Humanitarianism.
one more thought on that, you know, everyone out there that's listening, you know, don't be too good that you can't go and give a little bit of your time. I know gas is expensive. Everybody knows gas is expensive, but don't let everything be about money. Everything that encourages you, your business, your life. Sometimes put that bag down and go and talk to some kids. Go in, you know, just like do what you need to do. So I'm actually doing something later today at a community. So if there is, I say this to say, if there is anyone out there, you know, in the Miami area that is running any kind of organizations, or you have, like, I love coming to talk to girls or boys, adolescent. So if you want me to come out and speak or on a panel or anything, I encourage you also to reach out for those reasons. As far as casting, just in general for work inquiries, if there's any producers listening that have some ideas that want to talk to a casting director, maybe collaborate, etc., anyone can find me on Instagram. Girl Gang Casting is the handle, just like you would spell it, Girl Gang Casting. The website is girlgangcastingcollective.com. And you can read a little bit more information. You can also, you know, contact me via that website. But yeah, I mean, I'm open to helping people out, answering some questions. I get a lot of questions about, you know, industry and you know, what should the do's and the don'ts. So I might put like a little video or something together, because I get a lot of the same question, and I would like to help people. And sometimes I can't respond to every single person, but I definitely like to be helpful. So I'll do what I can. But yeah, Girl Gang Casting on Instagram, and girlgangcastingcollective.com is the website.
Because a demo, and this is my last point, a demo would be very, very awesome, because after I looked over your portfolio, I'm like, this woman has a lot of talents and what have you, and a demo to compile all of that. Don't forget about that, Nick. But to compile all of those things together, that would be certainly awesome. And then we can be able to continue to follow you, you know, on these networks, as to see, you know, where you're going to take us next, basically, because you're the producer. So you take us down through the streams of your storytelling and your genres that you offer for the public. So we thank you so much for being our guest on the day. I have talked with and spoken with a down-to-earth woman. I like that most of all of our guests are down to earth, even though they perhaps maybe have 6-7 figure annual incomes, but I love talking to down-to-earth women, simply because of the fact that other women can be able to ascertain, and men, because we feature men as well, other men and women can be able to ascertain your message, what it is. Because a lot of times people are all over the place. They don't even know what their message is at the point, but you want to make sure that the person gets to the bottom meat and potatoes and nuggets of your message. And that's very, very important. So thank you so much for stopping in the studio with us today and being our guest. And so everyone's We got another segment that's coming up in a few minutes. So follow us over to the next Women Who Rock with Success. We have enjoyed you on today, and have a wonderful day, Kelley.
Thank you guys so much. You guys can watch current projects that are airing on the CW, project titled March, about Prairie View A&M's marching band. I just casted that, and that's airing. And then coming up on Netflix, there's a new dating docu called The Ultimatum that will be airing in the next couple of weeks on Netflix.
Okay, great. Okay, great. And hopefully we can perhaps maybe have you back on the show in the summer or the fall, so we can be able to do an update and a revision of where you are and with your films as well, okay?
Absolutely, I'd love that. Thank you guys for having me.
Okay, have a wonderful day.